A wise film critic once said, "Everything you need to know about life is in The Godfather." And I think it's fair to say, much about the characters in The Godfather, and by extension the characters in any family, can be learned through observing the dynamics around the family dinner table. So today let's take a look at a great dinner table scene, which in my opinion is also one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. The date is the 7th of December 1941. World War II is heating up, and the Imperial Army of Japan has just dropped bombs on Pearl Harbor, killing over 2,000 American soldiers and 68 civilians, and prompting thousands of Americans to enlist in the Marines. It also happens to be the birthday of one Vito Corleone, and his children are gathered around the dinner table, preparing a surprise birthday meal for their beloved patriarch. Sonny sits himself at the head of the table. He is the oldest and the loudest, and his ego is catastrophically huge as he sets up his sister Connie with Carlo, the man she would go on to marry, and the man who would go on to beat and abuse her for an extended period of time. As the conversation turns to the war, Tom attempts to give a rational, informed take on the bombing of Pearl Harbor. "It happened because of the oil embargo he placed on Japan," he says. But he is inevitably overpowered by Sonny, who accuses him of siding with Japan, before sliding in the opposite direction and calling the Americans who enlisted saps. He says this because he has a deep understanding of violence and war, and he believes that the only thing to risk your life for is your family, and that would certainly be something worth fighting for. "Your country ain't your blood," as Sonny says. Meanwhile, Michael, who has been sitting quietly in the corner observing events like a chess grandmaster, finally makes his contribution. "That's Dad talking," he says. He seems to want to pull away from the family, saying finally that he himself was one of the Americans who enlisted that morning in the Marines. Everyone is shocked. "But Michael, your father had plans for your future." There is a hint of resentment in Mike's voice when he says, "My future. I have my own plans for my future." And Sonny deals with the bad news in the only way he knows how, by trying to fight Michael. And they have to be split up as his kids shout, "Mummy, Daddy's fighting again." Through it all, Fredo sits in the corner. He is stupid, and he loves everyone. And towering over the scene is the absence of Vito. Legend has it that on the day when director Francis Ford Coppola wanted to shoot the scene, Marlon Brando had failed to show up, and so they were forced to reshape the scene around his absence. Whatever the reasoning, it worked. Without Vito's stabilizing presence, the family's love turns to conflict, and there is clear friction around questions of succession, despite the fact that there is also great warmth in the feelings that they all have for one another. It is emotionally charged, but without the steady hand of Vito to calm things down and maintain stability. An echo of what will come to pass when he is no longer with them. For how can any of his children possibly live up to his legacy? He is a legendary figure who as a child made the journey from the old country to America to start anew. And in doing so he was forced to quarantine on Ellis Island, had to overcome crooked gangsters, and establish a new order in his part of New York. In many ways, he is the archetype of the Italian-American immigrant struggle. There is no way any of his children, or even Tom, could possibly live up to this giant of a man. And it's a testament to Coppola's genius that when he was met with adversity, he managed to turn it into cinematic gold, by cherishing the small details into which we can read the grand fate of this Italian-American family, all over a simple course of dinner.